Hi, my name is Khairullah Rahim and I'm an artist based in Singapore. I work primarily with objects, assemblages, installation. A lot of my artworks incorporate objects, both found and also ready-mades. And these objects are mostly acquired from the vicinity of my neighborhood, Boon Lay in Singapore. Boon Lay is a small town within the west side of Singapore. It's a neighborhood that's comprised of mostly working class demographic. So we have the blue collar workers, we have the elderly, we have the foreign workers, we have the foreign students and whatnot. So I find that characteristic or charm very intriguing, and I try to emulate that into the works that I make. My works have a tendency to appear very extravagant, but I think this kind of like visual language, which references again the language of excess, is very much inspired or borrowed from these lived experiences of people who fall under the working class demographic. Especially in like the working class neighborhood, you see a lot of clutter. People like to store things. There's a saying that you have to be prepared for rainy days. So a lot of things that don't have a use or a function for you now could be useful in the future. And I suspect that this could be a motivation to why people like to clutter things or store things instead of throwing things. And then these things or these objects also somehow hint a bit about the owners, right? Or the people living in those HDB units. So we have things like the fitness equipment that people will put at the corridor. You will see obviously potted plants, you will see laundry. I think sometimes when I see what people hang on the laundry is also quite intriguing. In 2020, I created this chandelier assemblage titled The Rebel. So the work was inspired after one of those days when I was doing my regular walks in the neighborhood, and I chanced upon this Malay wedding. So they were using all these probably fake chandeliers. So I'm very interested in this idea of like trying to like pass off as real. So when I eventually assembled the chandelier together, again the ideas were not very different from my older pieces of work, where I actually thought of this idea of clutter, this idea of excess. So I thought I want to like emulate that kind of aesthetic of Malay weddings, but instead of using actual chandelier parts, I actually use objects that were collected from the vicinities of my neighborhood. So some of the objects I can remember in the work would be the fake fruits and also the bicycle parts. Yeah. So the title itself, Rebel, was a kind of like wordplay to like people who rebel, right? But we also use rebel to describe a flock of butterflies. They call it a rebel of butterflies. So this idea of gathering, this idea of cluttering was really behind a lot of the thinking around this work. In 2019, I created this installation titled Intimate Apparitions. The works were very much inspired by this idea of resourcefulness by communities, specifically marginalized communities in Singapore. So in this particular work, I actually reached out to 4 different communities here in Singapore. The LGBTQ, or rather the gay men here who engage in certain activities to find intimacy with one another. Another one would be the domestic helpers who gather every Sunday to have picnics and just gatherings. I also spoke to a group of Indian and Sri Lankan foreign workers who gather every Sunday to play cricket. And the 4th community was the drag queens in Singapore. So I was very interested in how these communities actually create their own space. These are very fleeting spaces. You see them being activated and then they go, and then they get reactivated again. The materials and the objects used all hints to all these activations by these communities. There are all these very banal objects that you see everywhere, but now or at least I hope that when I assemble them, they become elevated, they become something even more powerful. Yeah. Not just for me, but also for these communities. Within the installation, there were 4 headdresses that I made responding to the drag culture in Singapore. Not all drag queens have the support of the family to carry out this practice. They have to do it very discreetly, so they have to do it at night, or they have to do it in their bedrooms with the door locked, or sometimes they even have to do it at their friends' houses, where they could be tolerated, right? So their room, which is this resting space, also becomes a workspace for them to create costumes and props and whatnot. So this idea of domesticity and home is very much embedded also in practice of drag queens. In the works that I made, I actively look for everyday domestic objects. I remember using things like the toilet brush. I remember using things like the dustbin, but I made it a point that I do not want them to appear in the same light as these objects. So they are quite hidden. Only when you go up close, you actually notice all these things. So we have all the blisters. They're all very rough edged, commonly associated to like dirt and grime. But the challenge for me was also to present this in a way that they are very beautiful, because that's what drag queens are. They are really beautiful beings that you see in spaces at night. Yeah. So this idea of beauty and also the working class goes hand in hand, I feel. And I've recently developed this new series titled Pigeon, People Like Us, where I created these headdresses that appear so beautiful and so reflective. But I think what I'm really actually thinking about or really interested in was also about strategies, about how, what happens when you become so visible. A lot of people associate visibility with concepts of safety, but not everyone wants to be visible. Not everyone can be visible, right? So if we look at these headdresses, if you look at the object itself, which is a welding mask, we all know the primary function of the welding mask is to protect the wearer from all these strong lights, right? And the sparks. This light, I'm also thinking a lot about visibility and surveillance. What happens when you become visible? What do you do? What if running away is not an option, right? So I actually use all these rhinestones and all these embellishments that reflect and deflect this light back. So this idea of the iridescence and the glitter is actually a kind of like a defensive strategy also. We all know deep inside that public spaces are also contested spaces. Who owns public spaces? That's how I sort of like see that kind of link between the pigeon and people like us. Yeah. And of course, pigeons are very beautiful birds, right? Like if we look at the necks and the plumage of the birds, especially the neck, you can see this iridescence of like purple and green. And again, I try to borrow those things and adopt it into the works that I create. I think a lot of people sometimes misinterpret or misconstrue my work. They see this as just beautiful things. But I actively use this strategy of beautifying things as a means to translate this idea of a defense mechanism